Theory Application and Plan Project. My client description. Joseph is a white American 50-year-old man. He's always been a successful entrepreneur as well as a gifted musician. Since an early age, he found out that he had a lovely singing voice and started using his talents in elementary school. After this, he picked up a guitar and started learning on his own. Later, he joined a band and started his jazz career at Webster University. Joseph had to work while in school to pay for his career. His situation was not the best financially, and after asking for help to his family, which did not help, he had to drop out of the university and focus on working and performing with his band. Since then, he developed tendonitis and had an operation that changed his musical abilities for the worse, he thought. He became angry and depressed. But while in rehab, he decided that he would learn Kung Fu, a martial art, to strengthen his body and to start teaching others how to play the guitar. He started teaching children and young adults at a music shop. After he worked there for 10 years, he got married and had his first child. He thought it would be time to open his own studio and teach privately. He started his own business and it was always successful, and he even had the summers off, which he utilized to teach his son the martial art he fell in love with years before. Since he's in the autistic spectrum, he works well in one-on-one settings or small classes. He is not able to function where there are crowds and lots of noises and bright lights. Him and his family have moved since he acquired the business 2 times. It has been challenging in the beginning to start the business in a new city, but after a couple of months, he's always full and happy with his success. However, the last time he moved his family and business to a different city, the pandemic hit. He had worked 2 months giving lessons in his home studio, and he was ready to rent an office space downtown. He started to bloom and see the fruit of his hard work and his financial success. But like I said, the pandemic started and he had to close his office because of the building closed per CDC guidelines. Joseph thought this was not going to be permanent and he stopped giving his lessons and stayed home for a couple months. But then he fell ill with COVID. He has had permanent lung damage and other related issues due to COVID. This made him to fall into a depressed state for almost 6 months because he lost his business, his health, and his wealth. His wife has been the breadwinner for almost a year, and now he receives unemployment from time to time, which makes him feel even sadder. He thinks that at almost 50, his life is over. His career is over, and he's willing to transition into a different career that may help him feel the man he was before. His wife and 2 teen children love him, respect him, and have been supportive during this tough time. His son, now 18, has encouraged him to practice martial arts and gave him the idea to open a Kung Fu school together. I chose the Crumbles Happenstance Learning Theory because I think it fits Joseph. This theory says that humans are born with different characteristics and predispositions at a given time and placed to parents not on their own choosing. They grow up in an environment where innumerable unpredictable events occur that provide opportunities for learning of both a positive and negative nature. And the individuals can also generate these events. This theory, rather than placing emphasis on past learning experiences or on ways in which a career counselor can help clients experience new learning experiences and challenge inaccurate beliefs, places primary emphasis on helping clients make the most out of chance events. What are chance events? Chance events are inevitable and they play a major role in everyone's career. It's chance or happenstance, it has a major influence on a person's career development more than often. This theory calls for career counselors to help clients increase the likelihood of potentially beneficial chance events and to capitalize on this opportunity. Learning. The role of learning also remains central to this theory. It addresses the importance of learning from two perspectives. The way the people behave is because of learning experiences that occur in the context of their environment, including family, peer, educational, and societal environments. And also learning as the overall goal of career counseling as well as the goal of career assessments. Counselors are educators, and Crumbles implores them to take an active role in teaching their clients how to interact in their worlds so that they can encounter new situations and learning experiences that may result in a career new opportunities. Action. This is the hard part. It will be taking action to achieving our goal, not just stating the goal. This theory calls on career counselors to define their successes not by a client's identification of a career goal, but on clients to engage in action outside counseling sessions each and every week. And open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is important from a long-term perspective because selecting a single career path for one's life may be unrealistic because our circumstances change. I chose this career for Joseph because I think he has demonstrated that he has worked his life based on his chance events. He has learned, he has taken action, and he has an open mind. He has an open mind even now that he wants to possibly take a different path, even if it's not in the music environment. The contextual issues, his cultural dimensions, and also the contextual issues. I would talk about cultural identity. And by this, I am referring to race, ethnicity, and the primary language he speaks, gender, religion, sexual orientation, and disability status. I will go with questions as how would you describe your cultural identity, which are the most important, um, which of these are the most important in the way you define yourself, and his career concerns. The initial step in developing a cultural formulation of my client is going to be to inquire about what is the definition of his problem. I will want to find his problem by asking him, using your own words, what would you describe your career concerns? If you were to explain your career concerns to your family or friends, what would you say? Also, what would you say is causing or contributing to your career difficulties? Also, we know that contextual supports and barriers, generally speaking, uh, they do not exist in a vacuum. So the next step is to inquire about Joseph's perception of any stressors and supports related to their career problem, including those that may be related to his cultural identity. For example, in dealing with your career concerns, to whom have you been able to turn for support? What other stresses do you have in your life? And approaches to coping. It is essential to explore um, cultural dimensions that may affect his coping strategies. I will ask questions like, up until this point, what have you done on your own to address your career concern? What sources of help have you sought in an attempt to deal with your career concern? What prompted you to seek career counseling? Also, I will ask him about his beliefs. What beliefs constitute his success in life? What beliefs what beliefs about how central work and career are to his identity, to his success and happiness? And what value of educational achievement and career he thinks he believes in? Also, what stereotypes about his cultural groups and career aspirations How are they seen in society? I will ask him what types of privilege he thinks he has, what are his experiences with discrimination and perceptions of barriers or supports, and what are his vocational expectations for himself. And also, I'm going to ask him about the quality of his educational experiences to the development of his objective skills and his self-efficacy beliefs. After I find all this out, I will go ahead with my counseling plan. And my goal is to prepare my client for a counseling process in which any unplanned event is normal and is a necessary component. During my intake, I will ask all these personal questions. I will want to know his personal information, his concerns and goals, education and training, employment history, family background, current living situation, challenges and obstacles, and strengths and sources of support, cultural formulation, and his current health status, and his medical information. After that, I will go ahead with my plan. Uh, First, I will explain that anxiety about planning the future is normal and it can be overcome. And that my goal is to facilitate learning processes by discussing how his curiosity is excited, how he can take advantage of unplanned events, and how he can create future beneficial unplanned events. For my assessments, I will use interest inventories and informational interviews because my goal is that Joseph express himself and find his career path. First, I will normalize, my first step will be normalize planned happenstance in his history to make my client aware of how his own actions can contribute to constructing unplanned career opportunities. I will ask him how have unplanned events influenced your career? How did you enable each event to influence you? And how do you feel about unplanned events in your future? Exploring his curiosity. In this matter of career, my job is to reframe his requests by helping Joseph to identify opportunities for learning and exploration. I will ask him, how is your curiosity excited? How have chance events contributed to your curiosity? How have you acted to heighten your curiosity? And how could you explore the career implications of your curiosity? And my step 3, I will teach my client to produce desirable chance events. I will stress to my client that not only will unplanned events will happen, but he can also initiate constructive action to generate more desirable chance events. For example, he is interested in the martial arts. I will encourage him to visit sites of this interest, taking classes directly or remotely connected to this interest, sending letters and email messages, networking, conducting informational interviews, and surfing the net. Would this be one of the possible actions that he can learn in order to generate unexpected but beneficial information? I will ask him how this the surgery event and learning the martial art, how this happened to him, and how was this desirable event, and how would his life would change if he did not go into the martial arts. And then my step 4 will be to teach him how to overcome the blocks of actions. I will help him to engage in constructive actions, not just to discuss them, but to do them. Like he has curiosity, persistence, flexibility, optimism, and risk taking. These are the 5 skills that I will want him to develop. And I will ask questions like this. How have you been blocked from doing what you want to do? How would you find out how permanent that block is? How have other people overcome blocks like this? How would you begin to overcome this block? And by this, I am trying to talk to him about his health and how he can overcome and go into the martial arts if he is willing to do that. The 5 skills that I will want him to develop is because these 5 skills are aiding people to benefit from chance events. And again, these are curiosity, persistence, flexibility, optimism, and risk taking. They are identified as the characteristics to work in specifically with this theory. So, how can I teach my client to develop these skills? Um, what I will do is I just don't want him to know and to have everything while we are inside my counseling room, but I want him to play and act the role. Um, I want to be focused on his actual behavior in the real world. So I will want him to record his outcomes. For example, he can have emails. He can send me emails with the brief stories of what are his adventures in the outside world. Uh, Also, to use his smartphones or keep a written or audio recorded journal of his actions and results of these actions between the counseling sessions, and to continue this journal for a period of several months after we are not longer doing our our counseling sessions. Also, for my final assessment, I will know that he is ready to go ahead when he can acknowledge that it's normal, inevitable, and desirable to have unplanned events to influence his career. To think that his indecisions is not a problem, but actually to see it as an open mindedness. Actually, to see the events and opportunities to try new activities, to develop new interests, and challenge all beliefs, and to initiate actions to increase the likelihood of beneficial and planned events in the future, and also to that he knows that I will provide continued support for his learning throughout his career. In conclusion, I can say that an economic recession is a phenomenon beyond the capability of any counselor of client to remedy. However, as counselors, we can help clients to adapt to the reality as best we can. Facing unemployment disasters alone compounds very difficult times for clients. The focus needs to be on joint figuring out initial steps to make living with the current situations as um, palatable as possible. My goal as a counselor is still to help create more satisfying lives for themselves. So, my goal in this situation was to help Joseph to learn to take actions to achieve more satisfying career and personal life, not just to make a single career decision. To utilize the assessments to stimulate learning, not to match his personal characteristics with occupational characteristics, and for him to learn to engage in exploratory actions as a way of generating beneficial unplanned events. And my success and his success actually will be assessed by what he accomplishes in the real world outside the counseling sessions. Joseph, um, specifically with Joseph, I wanted him to regain his self-confidence and finding his job, doing it with his son, and becoming comfortable in this new endeavor he's taking. And here are my references. Thank you.